This video is going to walk you through how to run a meeting on Webex where you can do hand raising, you can mute people, and just show you all the steps of setting that up. So here I'm logged into my Webex account and I have a few options for doing a recording. I have a personal room here, so that's a URL that I can give to anyone, and then anytime they can click join in there and come into my room, and I can join it and talk with them. If you click this icon here to copy it, it records a nice little message that you could bring over to any application and paste in. You could do that in an email or whatever. And so it has a link, it's got dial-in information, all of that's taken care of for you, so it's easy to send that to someone. So that's one way that you could set up a meeting. That's if you just want someone to meet with you. You can also schedule meetings for the future, so if you're trying to lead a class online, you could schedule rooms that way. To do that, you'll click on the schedule button here, and that's going to pull up something that has a whole bunch of options for you. So I typically do this with Webex Meetings Pro, which is the default. You're going to put a topic, and that'll be shared with anyone that you give the link to. So we're just going to call this test meeting. The meeting password is automatically set, but you can change it if you want. And then here is where you can pick when is it going to begin, how long, time zones, and so on. I'm just going to leave that as it is right now. Then you can add people to invite in here, or it'll give you a link, so you don't need to add your attendees. Under advanced options, you can put in agenda, scheduling things and whatnot. I tend not to do that, but audio connections may be something you want to look at if you want really fine-grained control. I tend to just leave these advanced options alone. So once you have all of your information in here, you can click on Start. And then because I set this as a meeting that's going to launch now, it's going ahead and starting it. It's 10:40, and you can see I set this meeting to start at 10:45. That's actually opening my desktop Webex Meetings app. And so I'm the host, and so you can see right now I have the audio and video turned off for this meeting. You can click those to turn them on. And then when I'm ready, I can just click Start Meeting. I'm not going to do that for now. Let's go back and take a look at some other options here. Okay, so if I wanted to schedule this meeting, say for tomorrow, I can click on Schedule, right? This button that was Start now says Schedule. And when I click that, now I'm going to get information similar to what I got for my personal room that has a link, a meeting number, password, and then dial-in information. And so this is stuff that I can go ahead and send to other people who are coming. So that's the basics of setting up a meeting. It's really straightforward. If you're going to do it though, you want to go through this process and test it first to make sure you have the latest version of the Cisco WebEx Meetings installed. Sometimes there's a bit of a startup process to get that going. So let's take a look then at how to manage some things in a meeting once you have it started. So over on my side as the host, I'm going to do Start a Meeting. And then that's going to launch me into my personal room. You can see I've got my video on and my audio muted, which is a good way to start. So here I'm going to put in the contact information for a guest who's joining a meeting I'm hosting. And you can maybe see this is on a different computer. So I'm just putting in my personal WebEx meeting room URL. That's something that you can send around to people. And when I do that, I'm going to show you the startup process that some people have to go through here. So it's starting Cisco WebEx Meetings. Right now it's saying, okay, well, I don't know what to do, so we can open the desktop app. And this says, I don't have it. So here we're going to go ahead and download it. I actually had that pre-downloaded in the background to save us some time. And so now this person actually has to go through the install process. Once that's done, we actually can launch the meeting program here. That's going to happen automatically. And then this person is going to connect to the room. So let's change their name to be Okay, so I'm going to have my friend join me here. So click Start Meeting. And you can see we have visitor 2 in here. Okay, and now we're all connected. So I'm the host of this meeting. I have the power to mute and unmute. So I could unmute visitor two's audio. It will get a little echoey, but just so you can hear. So now we're right next to each other, so you can hear a little echo. I can turn that back off. The other icon I have here for visitor two is chat. So I can send a text message in the background and they can see that. So this is the participant window. If you accidentally close this and the chat window, you may see a view more like this. You can get those back with these icons down here at the bottom. So this is a list of participants, and then this little chat icon will bring you to the chat. Okay, so as the host, one of the main things that you're going to want to do if you're running a meeting is keep other people muted. They accidentally unmute themselves all the time, and it's the surest way to irritate people out of your meeting. Now, since I'm the host, there are some things that I can't do here, but let me show you a few options. So I'm going to step out of the screen for a second. Okay, so what we just saw there was the visitor raising their hand to talk. I get a little alert here on my screen that a hand is raised, and that lets me know that people want to talk. So as the host, you don't have that ability. As a visitor, it will show up next to your name in here. And so that allows us to click on visitor two, and then we could unmute them and tell them that it's their turn to talk. Another thing that you can do over in this panel is control who's able to present. So if you want to present slides, have people present off their computer, or just show their video, you can click on this little button down here, and that'll make that person the presenter. And so that's passing it over to my friend here, and now they're in charge. Okay, so that's how we control different views. If they had slides, they could then present them that way. I'm going to take back the presenting view. Okay, so if I have a bunch of people in my private room and I need to leave, but I want them to continue the meeting, if I were to just try to quit by clicking the X down here, if I end meeting, everybody kicks out. And so I may not want that. I may want them to be able to stay and continue the meeting. So to do that, you have to make another participant the host of the meeting. So we can go to participant and then change role to host. And so you can see I did that, clicked on visitor two, and it says, do you really want to make them the host? And we can say, okay. And now we see visitor two is the host. I am the participant now, and now I have this ability to raise my hand. So this is what everyone except the host will see. You can click that. That'll send an alert over to the host that someone's hand has been raised, and the icon will show up there. If I change my mind and I don't want to talk anymore, I can unclick that and my raised hand goes away. So again, if you look, when it's clicked, you can sort of hear an audio alert in the background for the host. The host is leaving the meeting. Okay. And you see my hand stays up until I click it again, and then it goes away. So that's some real basics. Other things you might want to explore in here under participant. So let me give myself back hosting duties. Okay, I can mute on entry, which is a great idea. It keeps people from showing up in there and having a lot of background noise. This entry and exit tone does that little sound that you're all familiar with that tells you someone is joining your meeting. That can get really distracting, and so it's something that you can turn off. And then there's other options in here, but as far as meeting running, those are the main things. So that's how you manage participants. General Webex stuff that you might want to know, typically it's going to be your face looking at the screen, but you can also share content. That's what this icon is down here. So if we click on that, these are all of the applications that I have open, and it allows you to pick one of those to share. So for example, if I normally would probably do PowerPoint, but if I want to share a Word document, I can just click on share. And this brings up that Word doc that I showed you before, where I had shown you how to paste the information for connecting to a room. Okay, so there we go. Those are the basics of how we can share content. If we want to stop doing that, just kind of mouse over this at the top, and we get all of the options that were down at the bottom, plus a few other things. So annotations allow us to kind of draw on the screen. So I can say, make sure you look at that number. Again, we can come back here and turn that off. And when I'm done, we can do stop sharing. And so that puts my face back for the participants, and that's it. That's basically sharing content. Other people, if you make them the presenter, like we had seen here, they're able to share content in the same way. They'll have that option down at the bottom. So I think that covers the fundamentals of how to run a meeting. That can be like a research meeting, a whole class, through Webex. The main thing to manage there is keeping people muted when they're not talking, and as a host, paying attention to when the hands go up. I like to keep a little notepad so I can keep track of who's raised their hands first, so I can call on them in order. You have to be kind of proactive in keeping people quiet when it's not their turn, because people talking over each other on a Webex meeting is the worst thing ever. But overall, it works pretty well as long as you're an active meeting manager.